Hi friends, it has been a really long time, and first of all I want to say sorry for that, but second of all I just want to say thank you for joining me today. And if you're new, hi, I'm Katie and this is Katie's Kangaroo Pouch. So obviously a lot has happened since I last checked in. I would say I probably last left you on a bit of a cliffhanger. So if you're new, again, I'm Katie and this is my infertility journey, I guess. And we had just done our 5th round of IVF, or was about to start our 5th round of IVF when we left off last time. So we did our 5th round. Everything was looking really good. And I just had the sense of, while it was happening, that I would need to kind of film bits and pieces as it was going along and post afterwards. But what happened during that 5th time is we got our double embryo transfer and both of them looked really good. We did early, so it was a day 2 embryo transfer, which is not what we're expecting. We're expecting at least a day 3. That didn't quite happen. Anyway, so we went in, my husband and I, Chad, were so excited. We could see the cells dividing on the screen in our 2 embryos, and obviously they put the 2 best ones in. So while we were doing our, well, kind of just over 2-week wait of everything going on, we found out at day 5 that 2 out of, now it's been a long time for me, so I think we had 6 other embryos that were like doing okay. So the 2 that went in were the best. There was 2 kind of closely followed behind, and I think another 4 after that that were just like general and a bit slower. But the other 2, or especially 1 out of the other 2, had reached day 5 early blastocysts, and the second one I think was around the same, and the other 4 were behind, but we felt really good. The best 2 were inside us, and then we got the messages that they weren't good, the ones left over weren't good enough to freeze. They weren't at a level that they would freeze, so they kind of stopped developing, but we felt really good. I had quite a few early pregnancies, feelings, including implantation cramping and all that kind of stuff. And then about 2 or 3 days before my test, I had a very light spot, which I was trying not to get in a panic about, because I know that can be normal. But again, I think my body was just like, well, this is what's happened the last couple of times. And so I ended up having a major panic attack at work, ended up having to go home, and then the next day was our test. And yeah, we found out that we lost the pregnancy again. And I just think this time was the hardest time. I didn't realize it was going to be that difficult, because obviously this was our 5th round, and as sad as we were the last times and devastated, like we were fine sharing about everything. And so when this happened the way it did, yeah, I don't know, it just felt different. And so it took me a long time to kind of be okay with what happened, and I had questions from my family, and and all of that is good stuff, but I just felt like I was defending what I was having to do, and I guess the rationale of why we wanted to start our own family the way we did. So I just needed to take a bit of time out. Work was crazy. I don't remember if it was this round or the round before, but I'm pretty sure I ended up halfway through miscarrying. I ended up playing football, and kind of just kept going along with things. It may have finished up. I really, to be honest, it's all a bit of a blur, which is why I'm glad I vlog. So I will do my best to put together a short round 5 video of what actually happened, and I will put that in the queue on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, you can later on. So what else has happened since then? Lots. Including this crazy year of 2020. So obviously with everything else going on at the beginning of the year, we did our 5th round. I think I have mentioned before that my mother-in-law has cancer or had cancer, and this was like the 4th time she'd had cancer, and we knew that it was going to be terminal, but she was doing really well. So her name is Denise, and she was really feeling like she had at least 3 good years, and her amazing personality, we kind of just like ran with that. And so when we did the big trip back to America to spend time and make memories with her, we did Disneyland. We caught up with family that I'd never met of Chad's in California. We spent an amazing Thanksgiving and Christmas time with Chad's family and his mum here in the US. So fast forward, we got back to Oz, we did our round 5. The world started to end kind of in February. Obviously, the pandemic was starting to become a thing. And then it wasn't shortly after all that had started that we got the news that Chad's mum wasn't doing so well. We ummed and ahed about when trying to come back. Obviously, then the country locked down, so Australia locked down, wasn't letting anyone out. A very long story short, and I'll do my best to keep in the key parts, but we felt that Chad needed to be with his mum. He's an American citizen, so was able to get to America. I stayed behind and worked, and I think it was April, March that he ended up coming to the US. And so the plan was for us that we were going to be separated for however long that he needed her, that she needed him. So that was really hard. He had to quarantine, and he was a bit of a bubble boy. He stayed at his uncle's house once he arrived, and they like walled off half of the bottom floor of their house. So he kind of had his own bubble quarters. So that was an interesting time. And then he was able to see his mum on Mother's Day for the first time after he arrived. So he then moved in with his mum, spent time, was looking after her, taking her to all of her appointments and chemo. It then got to the point where the chemo was not holding off the cancer anymore, so she decided to stop treatment. And shortly after that, she was having to do liquid removal from her lungs on the regular. And so I spoke with my incredible bosses and said that I really felt like I needed to get to America to be with Chad, to be with Denise. I applied to get into America, was approved right away, and was denied at the airport boarding the plane to Sydney that my request to leave the country was denied. I madly, while on the flight to Sydney, because by then my luggage is already on board, I can't really get off, or I might have been able to, but I would have held up the whole flight. It would have been a whole ordeal, and there was only one flight a day. So as I'm on the flight, before it's taking off, I'm reapplying for different reasons, for compassionate reasons, to leave the country. The first time I applied was based on being a carer for Denise while being here, and I had doctor's letters, I had Chad's and his birth certificate, our marriage certificate, like all of this stuff to have documented evidence. I was denied because Chad was already there. And so in the government's mind, I was no longer needed, which is crazy because he pretty much was doing it all himself. Anyway, so then applied the second time to be a support network for Chad. And they denied me again, saying that I needed evidence to work that out. So I applied a third time. It took me about 3 or 4 days. At this point, I'm stuck in Sydney. I was going to turn around and come back to Perth when I was denied the second time, but of course the state was closed. So if I had gone from Sydney back to Perth, I then would have had to quarantine in Perth, and then not be able to leave for 2 weeks, even if I was approved. It was just a mess. So I was stuck in Sydney. Luckily, my best friend took me in over in Sydney, and she let me stay with them, and I got 3 supporting documents, including my psychologist from Australia, to say that Chad and I are each other's support networks, especially during this difficult time, pastoral's reference who had known us as a married couple, and then a counselor here in the US from Chad's side saying how important it was that we were together during this time. Luckily, they approved it, but that took a week and a half. Anyway, got here. Amazing. Got to America. Got to spend time with Chad and Denise. And very quickly she went downhill, and about 2.5 weeks after I arrived, she passed away. So really glad I got to spend that time with her and with Chad together. But yeah, that's been really challenging. So here we are. Chad's the executor of the estate, and so we have been busily trying to get ready to sell her house, this is where we are. I don't know if you saw that when we were here visiting in America last time. We are here selling the house, selling everything, packing up a couple of boxes of memories and shipping that home. And so then we are going to be doing the daunting task of going back to Australia and hoping Australia will let us back in. Anyway, that is a brief catch up of what has been going on, I think these last 7-ish months since we've last checked in. Again, I apologize it's been so long, but life kind of blew up, I think, as it did for everyone around the world during these crazy times. I will keep you guys updated. We have decided we're going to go ahead with one more round and kind of reassess after that time. So once we are here and have wrapped up and got back to Australia, we will go ahead and prep for round 6. Alright, love you guys. Looking forward to checking in way more regularly. I love you. I'm praying for you, and